Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday. We're talking about vacations, but first I have to bake a cake. Now that that's done, let's get on with vacations. The first vacations that I went on with my parents were usually just trips to go camping, or we rented a house for a couple of weeks somewhere, usually in France or in Italy, something that is a few car hours from home. So as a kid, I've spent a lot of time in the Loire Valley or in southern France or northern Italy, and we went to Brittany a couple of times, stuff like that. Nothing too far from home. My first big trip, meaning something that wasn't France or Italy, was when I was about 14. I went to London with my grandparents for the first time, and we stayed there for a week. That was a present from them, and it was awesome. It was really great, but at that time I didn't really speak English, which made it a little difficult, but it sparked a really great gem from my grandpa, who does speak English to an extent, and he asked a bus driver, I think one of those tourist hop off buses, and he wanted to know what the rate was, and he asked, "What's your pound?" which the conductor thought pretty hilarious. And the next year I went to England again, this time for 3 weeks, for a language program where I stayed with a really nice woman in Turkey and learned English, presumably. After that, I was back to going away with my parents again. And then when I was about 16, I'm not sure about that, but I think I was about 16, I went on vacation with a friend for the first time. I went to Brittany again with her family for a whole 3 weeks, which was really awesome. Even though the weather wasn't that great, we had a cool house, and I read a lot of books during that time and did a lot of Sudoku. After that, the next few big trips were with my class. The first one was to Budapest. Usually classes go to you go to Berlin in 10th grade to see the capital and see the sights and whatever. But my teacher at the time was Hungarian, and he said he would go to Hungary with us if we wanted to instead of Berlin, and we wanted to, because when are we gonna get the chance to go to Budapest again? That was a really great trip. The next one was in 11th grade when I went to Colorado and New York, and a very short layover in Washington DC and Chicago. So that's what I've seen of the US. O'Hare Airport is great for running through. And in 12th grade I went to Scotland for the first time, and we went to Edinburgh, which was a really short trip. We went for a whole of a week, but we started with 2 days on the bus and on the ferry. Then we were there for 3 days, and then we had 2 whole days of going back, so we traveled longer than we were there, which sort of sucked. After that was the first vacation that I actually organized and planned all on my own. Well, with a friend, but without parents. That was the point. We went to Paris for a week. And after that, the next trip I went on was actually my big 5-week trip to Palestine that I already talked about last time. So after Palestine, the next thing that I did was a trip through Germany with a couple of friends that I met at school. Last year I went on 2 trips. One was a week-long trip with 3 friends through Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. It was fun, but let's just say I won't go on a holiday with that group of friends again. Well, with one particular person out of the group. And I really liked Amsterdam, but we were only there for 1 day, and it was rainy that day, and I really hated that it was rainy that day. So I actually talked my mom into going to Amsterdam with me, so we went there in November, which is when it's not rainy at all, right? No, it was rainy again in November. But we had a little bit more time and weren't as stressed to go through everything, and it was a really great trip, and we stayed on a houseboat. And to finish off this year, I've been on a surprising lot of trips already, even though it's only June. I've been to Austria for skiing for a weekend, during which I managed to wreck my shoulder, which was great fun. And I went to Paris for a bit under a week. So that's pretty much every single trip I've ever been on. The next thing I've planned is Edinburgh in August. I'm just doing everything that I can during this few months that I don't have school. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to Amy's video tomorrow. So on that trip we went to Luxembourg, we went to Brussels, we went to